here. I think it's plus 10. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's like plus 10 today.
Are they letting you out of the house?
Yeah, we're allowed to leave the house and walk the dogs. Are you not, Shannon? You're not allowed to leave?
We are. It's just very minimal. I think they're likely to announce like a 48-hour full quarantine at some point, but they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, they closed down the major parks by us. So
that's one of our problems here in the South, actually, though, is the weather's been so nice. I mean, it's like, this is normally the time where you're like popping outside anyway. And it's, it's so hard. I get it from people, but it's like, it's so hard not to go out and just, to the parks and everything else.
At Chicago, and it's like 60 degrees. Like, you got to be outside, right?
Yeah. Yeah. In Canada, my husband's a doctor, and it's a national approach. So like you have your national team, your system, and then within it, your provincial systems. And it's gotten to the point now where they say, all right, so everyone who's a doctor, put your hand up if you've ever done stitches. Put your hand up if you've ever done this. Ooh. And so I don't know if you saw my Instagram yesterday. Yeah, I think I put on Instagram. They are making PPE, so personal protective equipment, out of donated fabric, which is amazing. And so his have bright red roses on them, his gowns. But he doesn't know, like, when he wakes up where he's going. But at least it's such a coordinated effort that I don't know if what you're experiencing in the US. But we're not at the state that, where we have to stay in the houses, and I'm hoping we can get by without that happening. Sorry to those that are going through that.
Okay, what time is it? Looks
Hi,
like
Hi, Dave.
Hey,
Hi, Annette. Annette, I don't want to hear about how much you've been on the beach. You can just stop that right now.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me, guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we cannot go to the beach if it makes everyone happy. So they close down totally the beach. So you cannot even go to swim. So we have totally locked down. So we have only, the essentials, like same like you. And kind of they said that they cannot keep the beach open because they don't trust everyone. So they've been afraid that we will start to host like big beach parties and whatever. But, I cannot complain. Like we have a pool and, the weather is nice and hot, sunshine, you can go out, it fills you up with energy. So I still cannot complain. So and we will survive these 2 weeks without beach. So, but yeah.
It looks like good time to start. I think we've been tossing around ideas. Ken and I were tossing around ideas how we're going to do this, especially since we've never done this before with such a large group of party. I was thinking maybe we could at least start off with a quick introduction by everybody. And be quick, just say what name, school, location, and then we can get started. It's a pretty informal thing. I had some notes I took up, but really I wanted to just get the conversation going. My thinking is that this is just probably one of multiple calls, and probably like breakout calls, because everybody's in different phases of their school. Some are starting, some are new. I mean, some are older. Some have ES, MS in high school, etc. And I'd like to at least get some conversations going, and then probably we get some connections going as well. So I guess I'll start off. Kay myself, she's on her own laptop. She said I wasn't giving her enough room, so her own laptop. So she has her own laptop over here. We are in Livermore, California. Actually, Kate, why don't you start off by introducing?
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Kate. We started 3 years ago. We're in California. We have elementary and middle school. We're hoping to do high school next year, but we don't know now with everything that's going on. We have 21 Eagles altogether. And 3 of our kiddos are in the middle school studio. So we're wanting to find solutions for our kids and our students in the community.
Okay. I guess I see Rob is next. I mean, on my left on the screen, but I don't know how they order this thing.
I'm not sure how they set it up either. My name's Rob Hughey. We're in Chicago, Greenfields Academy. This is our 6th year. We got about 40 students, same type of thing. We're gearing up to get high school and stuff going, and now it's like, we've been doing some online info sessions and stuff. We've had 3 people sign up who've never seen the school, so I thought that was kind of fun. But just trying to figure it out.
Giannis?
I think you're saying Jana. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Hey, Jana, sorry.
Okay. I've heard lots of different interpretations. But yeah, I'm Jana Pappas. We're also in California, just north of the Livermore School. We're in Concord, which is Contra Costa County, Bay Area. We're very small. We're going to have our first full year next school year. We started this school year in October with 3 students. We now have 5. We just added a 5th. And we're navigating this along with all of you, doing phone calls. And we did, my son put together a really nice virtual tour of our little studio for us to send to potential parents, people that are interested. We put it on our website or our Facebook page too. So, it's unsettling for parents to commit when they can't see you or meet you or see where their children might be spending their time. But I think the bottom line is, if you're interested in the Acton Academy, way of life, then I don't think it'll slow our growth too much. It's my prayer anyway.
Andrew?
All of you, by the way.
I'm just typing. There we go. Hi, Andrea from Infinity School in London, Ontario, Canada. We have 30 kids, and we were going to be opening up Launchpad, but that's going to be delayed. And I just wrote on the side, I'm trying to work on my virtual tour, and I discovered you can create slides in iMovie, or you can create slides in Canva. Does everyone know canva.com? That's pretty much the one I use all the time for my Instagram and like pictures I put on the website. And if you just go, what size do I need an iMovie for Canva? It'll tell you the DPI or the exact size, and you can put like words because the subtitles part on iMovie is not great. So that's what I was just typing there. But if anyone has an idea for a virtual tour, if you could put the link in or type in, I would love to hear that. Thank you.
Chad? Thanks, Anna.
Hey guys, this is us.
We're Odyssey and Acton Academy. This is our first year. We started in September. We're a 3-day-a-week homeschool hybrid. We've got all 3 studios. Our children are stair-stepped. We've got a 9-year-old little girl, 12-year-old son, and a 15-year-old. So we needed to start all 3 studios. So yeah, now we're in the same boat as you guys. So
And we're 3 days a week. So we've struggled a little bit creating community, only being together 3 days a week with the hybrid school. So we're looking forward to figuring out how to grow community more. Thanks for having the call.
Shannon?
Hi, Shannon at Acton Academy, Albuquerque. We began quarantine with 41 students, and we now have 49. So we have Sparks, which for us is kindergarten and first grade, and then we've got elementary and mid-school. And all of them have really just kind of picked up and are doing incredibly well. We brought in 8 of our Eagles who are enrolled for next year. So they've already been vetted. But just to get the commitment, and it's added a lot of energy to the studios because now the Eagles are creating training and they're taking them on, they're mentoring and really getting into the running partner thing. So that's been interesting, but recruitment is what we're looking for, the crack where we recruit for next year.
Sure. How about the other Shannon?
We're never sure which one you're talking.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, Shannon Falkenstein. We're in our 4th year. We have a full Montessori preschool through Agora Studio, and we're about 55 students in total. We haven't gotten any new students during this time. We've been on quarantine for 3 weeks. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I've got 2 kids in the school, and we are, looking at, I think we want to find ways to do virtual tour. I think also pricing is going to become an issue for a lot of people over time, where especially here, private school is not a choice. Public school is not a choice for anyone. The public school system is just absolutely terrible. But I think in the United States and probably in Canada, the public school system is going to be a very real alternative when people don't have enough money to spend maybe on private school in the coming months or years. So yeah, I don't know, just throwing some things out there that I've thought of. So great to be on the call. Thank you for organizing.
Thanks, Shannon. You know what? I think in the interest of time, when we do the intros, go ahead and throw out whatever is like on the top of your mind. And then if anything else, what you've done or can share really quickly. I don't know, how we're going to it's going to be kind of hard getting through everybody, obviously. So, but at least when you get your chance to speak, go ahead and throw out what you need to, and then we'll take notes. Or probably somebody else somebody's taking notes. And I have this recorded as well. But, we'll go with that. So Danny, you're next.
Hi, I'm Danny in Venice Beach, California. We're in our 8th year. We do have 3 studios, elementary, middle school, and high school. I have 2 kids in the high school. They've come up through Acton. They went to main campus first when that first started. Our issue right now is we've already lost 2 students for next year whose parents have been laid off and don't think they're going to be able to recover and be able to pay tuition for next year. So they've already let us know that right now they're probably not going to be able to pay tuition for the rest of this year. Our Eagles have transitioned really easy. I love the idea. I think, Shannon, you said you've brought on your Eagles you've already accepted for next year. I think that's where we need to head. So we've been doing this for 3 weeks. They've been doing really well, but definitely we're concerned about next year.
Yeah, I'd also throw in, like, when you talk, maybe for those of you that have, obviously everybody here has had their studios running remotely for about the last 3 weeks now. So, if there's anything that worked really well that you would like to share, I think everybody would like to hear that as well. So, Erin, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Erin Decker. I'm from Deep Creek Learning Center in Pennsylvania. And we are a new batch that was just starting out this year. So our studio is a little bit different, I think, than most, because I started on this journey by opening a school and didn't realize that Acton existed yet. So I was already enrolling and putting together a program for my own kids who are in 4th and 6th grade right now. So I kind of transitioned this year after we already got started in the first set, so as to not reinvent the wheel. So we're a hybrid of a few things. We have essentially a Spark studio, elementary and middle, and our kids everybody's just kind of exploring as of right now until next year when we do our full enrollment as an Acton Academy. But I think as an encouragement, when I started enrolling for my current program now, I didn't have any nationally or even globally known name to back up. But so much of my enrollment, I didn't have a building yet. I didn't know anyone, and it was really just people were really excited about the idea of what we all do. So I think that, and especially during this time, I know there's a lot of conversation out there for people that are a little bit panicking that our current system isn't working, and let's explore ways to support each other and new things to do. So I think as challenging it is to enroll for next year, it also is I think really fresh on people's minds right now.
Thank you. Krista?
Wait, sorry, can I ask, I'm sorry, didn't catch your name, the woman who just spoke. Why do you think, what
Yeah.
makes you think it's fresh on people's minds right now?
I can't see who asked that.
This is Shannon Falkenstein.
Oh, there you are. Hey, Shannon. A lot of people, as far as at least I know, the conversation is that they're, and I think along with the article, the Forbes article that Jeff shared the other day, that we're looking at the system having to change as a whole. And I think people are being, it's a really obvious thing now when we see that maybe the former system, say, if you're looking at a public system, had a lot of broken pieces of it. And I think people are more aware of other things, or making themselves become more aware of other things that are out there for learning.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Krista Slate, and I have Acton Academy Sci-Fair, which is in Houston, Texas. And this is our first year. We have 16 Eagles. We have a Spark studio and an elementary studio, eight learners in each one. And we are actually during this time doing we're going to open up our middle school next year, and we decided to go ahead and do a middle school pilot. So I have 4 kids total. 2 are in the elementary studio, and I have 2 middle schoolers that are still in traditional school. And so that is something that we have started just to explore some online platforms and also some of the project-based learning with the middle schoolers. And so I'm excited to hear ideas from everybody, and thank you for letting me join.
Wendy?
Hi, my name's Wendy Eldridge, and I am with Acton the Woodlands. I'm one of Brad and Michelle's co-partners, Brad and Michelle Bowen. And some of the things that we've been doing, first of all, we had our last day where we let the scholars really kind of create the system that they wanted for doing Acton at home. And so each studio is different. We have 5 studios from preschool up to high school. And so, for instance, the elementary school, they're having Zoom meetings twice a week. And the first meeting of the week, they goal set. And then the second meeting, they're playing a game together, like a scavenger hunt or something. They're just getting on and connecting. The middle school, they decided that they wanted to meet 3 times a day. So they are having Zoom meetings 3 times a day. They're not required. And we have about half of the studio in each of those. They have a Socratic discussion at the first one that's led by one of the guides, and then they have a Socratic discussion at the second one led by one of the scholars. And then they have collaboration time. So they're like saying, hey, I need this approved, or I need to work on this with somebody, and those sort of things. So that's what the middle school's been doing. Our high school, they found a really great platform. They found that they were communicating in 100 different ways. They were using Marco Polo and text and Google Chat and email and the bulletin board. And so they found a platform called Basecamp, and it's been working really well for them. So we've seen a lot of catch-up work happening and a lot of motion there. So those are some of the things that we've been doing. We also have where each family gets a phone call at least once a week, and that is really kind of based on what the parents decided that they want. So we have a couple that asked for 2 phone calls a week. So where we're just touching bases with them and you know, have kind of some set questions that we ask, and asking about SMART goals and, you know, where they're having challenges and how we can be a support to them and any resources that they need. And those have been really helpful. We've had lots of positive feedback from the parents. What was that, Tony?
Sorry, who's making that phone call?
The guides.
The guides are, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Asahanan, I'm sorry, ASHAHAN. You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, that's me actually. Andrew Shahan. So we're Acton
I
Buckhead. We've
knew
got
that was your name. That had to be a user
You knew
ID.
that was me, right? Not Ashahan. So we have seven heroes. We've been online for 3 weeks now. Things are going really well. I'm just really interested in continuing to try to recruit in this in kind of the virtual environment. There's obviously the social media, but I just want to like listen to you guys and see what are some other things that possibly we're missing. A lot of the things we had planned for the spring had a lot to in-person things to do. So just really waiting to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Ian?
Me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I'm Ian Lindsay. I'm with Acton Academy St. George. That's in southern Utah, just about 2 hours outside of Vegas, for those that know the geography. So we're actually launching this upcoming fall. So I'm mostly listening and curious what people are thinking about in terms of enrollment and how that may go. I have some families who are in the pipeline and moving that direction. You know, we're looking for a space, things like that. We're moving ahead as though things are normal. I mean, to a certain degree. But yeah, I'm excited. I love being here. I've been part of the Acton network for many years. I went to the MBA program and things like that. So excited to hear what you guys are working on. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Andrew?
Hey guys, so we're representing Acton Academy Phoenix. We have a primary studio and an elementary studio. We're in our 4th year. The transition's gone pretty well. I mean, relatively speaking, learners have stepped up. But I would say the best things on our end has been we're pretty well established in using Slack with our families. And that has been crucial at this time because they've been communicating so well with each other in Slack. We're sharing challenges, we're sharing tips and strategies. Parents, really, it's mostly parents sharing with each other. And so the community aspect has really heightened during this time, which has been pretty incredible. We're also using Google Hangouts for the video chats, which has been great just to keep the learners connected with each other. We're finishing the session, so we're starting to think through what the virtual exhibition could look like. And I know Matt's not on the call, but Matt Clayton's at Slope School was pretty helpful today to see that. And then starting to think about what our last session of the year quest is. And so the goal was to do a growing curiosity quest again, which is our last quest last year. And so if anybody's just knocked it out of the park with their growing curiosity quest, we'd love to hear your best strategies for that, especially in a virtual environment. We'd love to hear that. And that's the biggest things for us. I mean, of course, same challenges. We're thinking about how do we do recruitment, just knowing in Arizona, school choice is huge. And so there's a ton of choices, and not being able to come to, the face-to-face and have that personal touch is hard. So we're looking at creative ways for recruiting and trying to take advantage of this time when people are really thinking about different ideas around what school is. I think we've done a pretty good job. So we're trying to figure out how do we tell that story pretty well. And so, yeah, we'll always listen to what everybody else is doing, and we're always reading the forums and hearing your great ideas, guys. So thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Andrew. Gina? Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah. Hello, Ja from Malaysia.
Good to see you there, Ja.
So we are 4th year in with Spark to MS that's maturing to Launchpad. It's sort of tough times here. We were 2 weeks in terms of the they call it movement control, but kind of lockdown. Also because we started this year, as in since January, and 2 families are struggling with the economic wise. Like for example, yesterday I received a notice from a Mexican family which has 3 eagles. They are going back to their home country because of economic challenges. Likely more families in that situation. The virtual part, I think, going quite good. Similar experience to many of you. So really, it's by the next payment in end April, we'll have to see what's the commitment level of the actual pictures of the all the families that we have here. So it's likely a period of adapting and holding on, and growing recruitment will be the key to survive it.
What time is it over there?
1:30 a.m. or 1:25 a.m.
Thanks for joining us. All right.
Welcome. Glad to be your.
Gina, please. Potter, right? Is that Gina or Jenna?
Jania Potter.
Okay.
I'm in South Lake, Texas, and we launched a year ago. We have 12 Eagles, elementary and middle. And March 16th was our first day. And our county is actually stay at home. So it's been really interesting last few weeks. But yeah, they're doing great. One thing that we've done, I also own a music school. So a lot of our Eagles have a strong interest in music. So we've started our morning launches with karaoke. And it's actually been really fun and kind of a good way to get everybody motivated and excited for the day. And plus it buys a little time if they're running late or something like that. But I guess my main thing is recruiting. We had about 3 families who are at the point of coming in for shadow weeks, and it stopped right there. So we're in that point of the decision-making process. And so I'm kind of not sure where to take it from there because, we haven't really had a chance to observe the kids in the studio or anything. So that's where we are.
Well, thank you. Erica?
Hey, I'm Erica Timmons from Acton Academy, Tyler in Texas. We have 4 studios: Spark, Elementary, Middle, and Launchpad. Because I have children in 3 of those 4. And it's a small school. We've got 14 learners right now. We're kind of in the same boat as Jania as far as we had people at the point where they're ready to shadow and not quite sure what to do with them at this here, just kind of at a standstill. Because we're at stay-at-home orders as well. Things that are going well, the transition to at-home learning as far as core skills go has been very smooth. Launchpad, I've got 3 Launchpad students, and they're pretty much handling things almost completely on their own, but they do that anyway. So that transition's been smooth. Our biggest hurdle seems to be keeping the energy level up with elementary and middle. Spark's doing pretty well because they're sharing videos of all the things they're doing pretty regularly. The parents have handled that aspect quite well, taking pictures and communicating with each other. Elementary and middle school, I feel like energy levels pretty low. So they're missing each other. So I'm looking for ideas for that. But overall, I feel like the transition has been pretty good, but looking for ways to get our energy level up. I'm looking forward to doing some of Laura's talent show ideas. So I think that'll help. But anyway, that's it for me for now.
Thanks, Erica. Lauren? Sorry if I catch you guys on surprise. I'm just going with whatever was on my list.
No, that's okay. Hi, Lauren from the Village School in Annandale. We're in year 2, and I think we're probably going to lose 3 kiddos out of this. And this has been kind of a tricky year for us. Our elementary studio has struggled in general. I'm looking forward to, I'm just glad to be in the same room with everybody here that's facing similar challenges. I know there's opportunity here too. I'm mostly looking at how can I use this time to really explain what learner driven means. I think that our parents have been really great about telling others about who are frustrated with their traditional school and stuff, how the transition has gone for us, and it's gone really well. But I want to message that in a way that it's because we're learner driven and not because, you know, we're on all these online platforms. It's that our learners know how to set goals, and they know how to navigate this in a way that other learners don't, and why that's so important. So I'm trying to figure out, I have all these ideas, but I'm trying to figure out how to get that out in a sensitive way to the community. Andrea, your press release was super helpful. So things like that, I think, can help kind of harness the opportunity here. And then thinking about what you mentioned about keeping the energy up, I'm also being really realistic about the fact that I just don't know if we can simulate what happens in the studio at home. And so I think like lowering the bar a little bit in terms of the energy level is probably pretty important. Like, I think we can sustain it at a certain part, but we can't expect it to be like a regular school day. So I'm interested in hearing what you guys think about that. But yeah, anyways, enough for me. Thanks for having us, and thanks for organizing this, Tony.
You know,
Yep.
what you said about the e-learning tools, that definitely resonated to me, because like when this first started off, one of the first things, you know, Kay and I talked about was like, you know, one of the differentiators of Acton before was that we use a lot of e-learning programs, and the public school is going to hop on that. So it brought to mind that, yeah, we're much more than that. And I think that's a really key point that we need to leverage as we move forward and market and differentiate ourselves.
Yep, thanks.
Mandy?
Hi, I'm Mandy. I'm with Acton Academy San Diego East, and this is my husband Jeremy, who's here too. And we're opening in the fall with a small Spark studio and a small elementary studio. And I'm just here to get ideas about the unique challenges and opportunities we have with the quarantine as far as recruiting goes, and what unique challenges and opportunities we'll have after the quarantine's over. I'm excited to be here and excited to hear everyone's ideas. Thanks.
Thank you. Annette?
Hey guys, this is Annette from Turks and Caicos. We started the home schooling from last 2 weeks ago. So we are 2 weeks now at home. The island shut down a week ago, so it's kind of still new for most of the people. What we started to do, so we only have one elementary studio. We have only 11 Eagles. And I started to do the Flipgrid, which you heard probably from Melissa. She was texting about this, and I really like it, and the kids like it. And this is where we're doing the daily discussions. So this is where I am always uploading one topic, and they have to submit some videos to answer those questions. Also, we started to do this Heart Smart, which I don't remember who was mentioning that, but it's kind of to be nice and kind to each other. And it's like every day, like different 2 minutes videos. And they have a little craft project at the end. So we started to do all these two things in Flipgrid. And so far they are doing really good. I see that we have a big advantage next to any other private school. So what you have to know, and shortly this here on the island, most of these schools are private. Most of these schools are in the same kind of price range where we are. And everyone is trying to really step up. So I really mean that they are doing a really good job. So I cannot say that, oh, we are amazing, because we already kind of used to this kind of system. So it doesn't make a big differences from the other private schools. So I don't feel kind of the advantage so far to find new Eagles, for example, for next year. But I definitely interesting if someone has like positive feedback on that one. I'm also interested in the pricing. We still don't know that if we can go back to school or not. So it's like still like kind of is depending on how infected is the island. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, and we do Zoom calls twice a week when everyone is there. And I also do once a week individual Zoom meetings. So every Eagle I'm talking 20 minutes, and we check in like what they did, how they did, what is missing if they don't understand something. So it's kind of like trying to support the parents who are stuck with the kids at home. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica, go.
You should say your name again.
She's trying to unmute. There you go. I unmuted you, Jessica.
Oh, great. Hi. I'm Jessica Guile, and I'm here in Redding, California, far Northern California, almost to Oregon. And we are in a first year studio, an elementary studio with 9 learners. We started with 13, and now we have 9. And 4 of them are what we call level 6. So we had a lot of interest. We have, sibling groups, and there are 2, with 2 in the family and several 6th graders. So we had committed to launching a middle school next year. So we brought in 6 level 6 learners that are just a part of our elementary studio. But yeah, so our thoughts are, okay, well, we've committed to starting a middle school next year. We have 4 that could go in, but we would need more numbers to make that work. So we're in that recruitment, trying to figure that process out as well. We've also, as far as what we've been doing that seems to be working, we've also been using Flipgrid. I actually just launched a Flipgrid for our parents to try and get some feedback from them and just sort of get a little bit of FaceTime. But because all of us, it's a challenge to get everyone on a Zoom call at the same time because we all have all of our kids at home. So that's why I'll let you know if I'm getting engagement from parents. I have a couple of parents that have responded and like that format. So I'll let you know if that goes well. I'd also like to try and figure out Slack. I just haven't taken the time to figure that out, but Flipgrid was super easy. So we'll see how that goes. And then our learners, they also designed their Acton at home, and they wanted to keep it as much connection was basically the most important thing for them. So, and that's still the most important thing for them. So they are having Zoom calls several times a day, about 3 times a day. Our guide is on them as we would do normal launches. And then we also open up a Zoom room for an hour, and no guide is on it or anything, but over lunch. And they hop on and off and chat with each other and eat their lunches. And that has been really, really helpful for our learners because they really are missing the connection time. So that's just been really helpful.
Great advice, Jessica. Thank you. Martha?
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Mirta from Acton Academy in Monterrey, Mexico. And I'm also very interested in hearing your ideas. I think that for sure this will be as an opportunity to get more people for next year, since everyone is already being very aware that traditional school is failing. I mean, it is not up to par for situations like this. But what I'm interested in is how to communicate this in the best possible way, and also being sensitive about it, like not being too aggressive with the message in a negative way, but like in kind of a sensible way, communicating our positive points. We have been gaining interest in this past week. I think Courage to Grow did help. And I think posting about what we do in the studios, well, right now at home, right? But what we do with heroes every day, like what they are working on, which quests, and how they approach Acton at home. I think it's been very interesting to everyone out there. So we have been getting some requests for more information. I'm not sure if they will lead to conversions, we'll see. And we had 2 families who already did the shadow week, and they were very successful. And we have invited them, for example, as Park Hero, we invited to participate in a mini quest, which is the Rainbow Connection. I'm sure everyone here has heard about it. If not, Google it. It's super fun for everyone, and maybe you can incorporate it in your studios. He was very excited to join that mini quest, but the parents do not seem to be interested in having him joining now, being at home. And the other one, it was a delicate subject too, because the mom and the dad were traveling when the quarantine broke out. And when they came back to the city, they had to be in isolation to be sure they did not have the virus and get them to their family or anyone else. So they have been like very, very aloof, because I think because of the situation. So I've been meaning to like kind of push them in sort of what they are thinking right now, if they would like to have their son join as he would if we were in the studios. But I'm just like, how do you everyone feel the approach should be in these sensible times?
Thank you, Mitra. VJ.
All right. Man, it's really cool just to see everybody here today and put faces to names and stuff like that. I'll try to keep it quick. So we're in our 4th year. We have 54 warriors. We call them warriors. It was a mascot project they did our first year. I think it had something to do with the Golden State Warriors, unfortunately. But we have all 4 studios. Technically, we have 1 launch padder, so she meets with the middle schoolers, and but we modify some of her quests and some of her challenges and stuff like that. So I guess what's on my mind, what's worked well, what questions do I have, right? Those are the things. So quickly. Some highlights are like what's worked well. We had a middle school launchpad exhibition yesterday from 5 to 6. They hosted it on Zoom. There were like 40 parents or so that showed up, and it was unbelievable. I mean, they had some technical glitches, but they were sharing their screens. They created presentations. They had slides, and then they had video links to their rockets exploding up in the air. They shared their lessons learned. They had an intro. It was like perfect timing, because I showed them a clip of the Launchpad exhibition as they were rehearsing as part of one of our launches. The Launchpad exhibition from Acton Academy, Maine, or Austin. And so they got to see that, and then kind of get more ideas about how they want to do it. And they were really excited about it. Our ES and our Spark also put together exhibitions, like just in videos. They just sent the guys videos, and then we created a folder for parents. So I think it's just been really cool. I think that's probably the biggest highlight, and what's been on my mind is that we're still young. We're only 4 years in. But I think, Tony, you're talking about platforms and how like now schools are shifting to all these platforms, and they're going to be doing the same thing as us. And in my mind, it's like, they're not even, I mean, you can have a bunch of platforms and you can do that, but there is a paradigmatic shift in a mindset that is like, you can't even compare. There's the community element. I think in one of the email threads that was on my mind was like, I'd rather have 15 conflict resolutions than having one of my Eagles a couple of grades ahead, because that's where the real learning happens. I think those kind of points remind us like what we're all about. And I think just seeing them take ownership of their learning, even though the circumstances have drastically shifted. I feel like we're at the forefront. We meaning not just the Humanist Academy. I think all of us who are doing Acton to the best of our abilities, we're at the forefront of this revolution. And I think that whole you guys may have read my email. I know there's been a lot of information overload, but I think I kept thinking about this. Like, I'll just take a minute. Ken Robinson said that, what intrigues me about education is that we have no idea what we're preparing for. We don't know what the future is going to look like in 5, 10, 20 years. And kids who enter school right now, will retire, in whatever, 2075 or something. But like, we didn't know what the world was going to look like 3 weeks ago, right? Like, that this was going to happen. And the fact that our Eagles, our heroes, have responded, and I'm talking to different owners across, America. I called every single parent at our school, and the message has been almost unanimously the same. I think there's definitely people, and myself, who struggle. You can tell by my stubble and my beard, who struggle to work from home. But like, to see how they've responded and really taken ownership of their learning, like they were prepared, and that just blows me away. Seeing how engaging they are in launches, how much they want to learn and keep it going and stuff like that. I think I want to hear some quest ideas from people. That would be really fun for next session. I think the financial situation is probably on a lot of people's minds too, and how we're dealing with it. I think maybe it was Jake or a couple other owners who had mentioned like, hey, look, I'm going to do whatever I can for my families. I don't want to lose a family because of this situation. And that kind of struck me like, all right, do I need to, talk to our board and just be like, look, let's waive whatever we can depending on what situation and just make sure we don't lose people over this and see what we can do. So those are some cool ideas I wanted to share. So I'll turn it back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Vijay. Hey, Julie, before you go on, Julie, if I can just take a minute to address one of Vijay's question and bring up a question we had. We were going to do the economic quest for next session, but we ended up talking and we decided that a pandemic planning quest was probably a good idea to do. And we kind of merged in like the gardening quest, a little bit of finance in terms of having money to buy emergency supplies. Financial planning for and political awareness and understanding that. So we tasked the guides with coming up with a quest that is more relevant to the times, because our thinking was like, hey, that's what the benefit of Acton, right? We're there to try to have the Eagles be prepared for real life, and what else is more real life than what they're living right now? That's like so dramatically changing of what what everybody's doing nowadays. So we created this. Happy to share it out. One of the things I just wanted to ask the group, we were debating yesterday about whether or not we would want to include 9/11 as part of this type of quest. The original idea was like we would do a natural disaster, a viral disaster, and then a human, man-made disaster. And for elementary school, we said, yeah, probably a little bit on the dark side, but on the middle school, we were kind of debating. So for those of you that have middle school, we'd love to hear your input on that as well.
Yeah, we're trying to really balance the amount of kind of cognitive stress and emotional stress that they're going through. And, my take would be dealing with what's going on right now is enough, let alone layering on like another big thing. That was huge for us, right? I mean, it's definitional for our generation. It's just not as definitional. I think if you're talking about like man-made disaster, and that's the piece that you're trying to figure out, like the place where these kids live and what's hitting them hard is the climate change stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
Hi. Oh, I gotta turn my camera back on. Hi. So to answer your question, Tony, I'm just going to put my psychotherapist hat on, and I wrote on the note on the side. Stress levels are extremely high, and children are experiencing things in ways that we can't imagine because it's been a long time since we were kids, and we have a hard time understanding their perspective. So something as simple as like when the 9/11 TV, when the TVs were on, and the planes they kept showing it on repeat. The children thought the buildings were getting hit thousands of times. So we have to be careful even about how much news we're giving to the kids and how much research they're doing, because their brain is so visual and so literal that we want to kind of limit just right now what they're seeing and hearing that makes them feel constantly worried and sad. So I love, like, the document that you just showed is amazing, and it's like really well thought out. And I'm sure, you know, you'll come up with some wonderful ideas. I would just not sure if now's maybe the right time, like maybe one session down. I mean, I just would be, because I mean, we're seeing evidence of stress in their shopping habits, like people are stockpiling on strange things like toilet paper, and they're getting, like, really the only thing that's in the news right now is about COVID-19 and all the things that are the limitations and stuff. So I think it's good to focus on like growth and life and things that can be consistent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I wanted to add something. I like it. I really do. And what I think is that, like you said, they were like shopping for toilet paper and things that are not needed. I think with that quest, you could probably give them a perspective. I think it would be very useful, because we cannot prevent the fact that everything that they're seeing in the news is that. But if we give them something else to replace that, I think that it would be a good idea. I would love for you to share it with us, and we would be up for doing it, because I think that it will give them a different perspective, and even to parents, you know, that they're not going out crazy just buying whatever. But then I saw that there were like essential things, like what to buy, how to prepare. I think it would be very useful to give them the tools. And I think that now, because I think kids are pretty safe, they're not going out. Parents are the ones that go out whenever they need to. It's just what they see on the news, which is a lot. But if they're like investigating and you're like canalizing that towards things that are different than just panic, they would feel like more in peace, because they would feel they have the tools to, you know, to do front, you know, to something like this. So I don't know. I mean, you can see it either way.
About whether or
we
not
can see it either way. I think it's a good idea, and I would love to do it.
Cool.
I'm just going to jump in and say you can usually gauge how the kids are doing by how they sleep. So ask the parents how they're sleeping, and if you hear, oh, they're doing great, then you're good.
Yeah, you know, just quickly on this one, we did like debate whether or not we wanted Acton and the curriculum that we all provide to be quote unquote like an escape from reality versus, you know, integrating the reality into what they're learning. So that's what we decided was, you know, better to be prepared than not be prepared, I guess, is the stance.
I think maybe we have more doctors. I think almost half of our families are doctors, and it's in the reality is very hard for them. And so I'm giving my families a break. That's why I'm asking for ideas of what were your most fun quests, because that's going to be our focus. Because we're still talking about like what's happening, but we just want them to feel a bit lighter in combination with what they're seeing in their houses. And, you know, like my husband has to take his clothes off and in the garage, switch clothes, bring them in a bag. Like, you know, it's just scary stuff for us. So.
Yeah.
Can I jump in real quick? Just real quick. A couple of cool ideas I heard from people, like backyard biomes for Spark. I think Anna in Las Cruces is doing something like that. Like a lot of gardening stuff, some PE related stuff. I think Rob was saying they're doing like a passion project or whatever. We did like a hidden talent quest where they had to find a talent that's something they never tried before and spend 5 weeks developing. It could be a Rubik's Cube, it could be juggling, it could be learning an instrument, whatever. I have some stuff on it. It's not polished, but I could share that. But I just want to throw out some other ideas. But Tony, these are all perspectives. Ultimately, you have to decide what's best for your Eagles and your situation. Some of them would do really well with the Quest, the way you have it. And it's just, it's always cool to bounce ideas off. So, and I'll jump off.
Also, I want to chip in, if I may. We are doing as a side project with families for like something to give out to the community in these times of need. And one of our Acton parents is printing like the headsets to make masks for doctors and nurses, since the supplies are very short. And this is like maybe a thing you could incorporate, not exactly the 3D printing, but maybe making the face masks or something like that, so that they have a hands-on project, but they have this sense of serving the community.
Yeah, that's just one of the tasks, is to make some face masks at home too. That's kind of one of the things that kind of spurred this thing on, actually. So thank you. I'm going to try to accelerate. It looks like we don't have that much time left, and there's still a number of people that didn't get a chance to speak. So I'm going to try to accelerate this a bit. I think I was at Julie, right? I'll see her. She may have dropped off. Oh, Julie. Okay. I think Chris. Who else?
Sorry, here I am.
Oh, hi, Julie. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Sorry. So we're on Acton, Syracuse, and we're in just a suburb kind of outside of Syracuse, New York. We have 14 elementary and 3 middle schoolers. We're a hybrid homeschool model. And, so far our Eagles are doing pretty well. They kind of, they haven't missed a beat. Our middle schoolers they're working on their writing quest. They're really doing great at like holding themselves accountable. They're doing video calls 3 times a day, 3 times a week. They're pretty self-run. They have challenges that they're presenting to each other on a daily basis. They're coming up with summer projects, and they're really doing a great job. They just really haven't missed a beat. Our elementary, I started doing so we got interrupted in the middle of a maple sugaring quest, which was really a hands-on project-based quest that we were doing. So that was kind of hard to pick up where we left off. So that's kind of our biggest struggle right now, is figuring out our quests. I don't know, I started doing the Aesop's Fables with them, just to really focus on some character building, focusing on like resilience and perseverance. And that was going really great. We had some really great discussions revolving around that. But I guess quest ideas are a big thing for us at the moment.
Thank you, Julie. Melissa? Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm a little overwhelmed these days, so I don't know about y'all. So what's on my mind? I won't go there. What's worked really well for us are breakout rooms for collaboration. So we have, I think what's working well is we tried to keep the studio schedule the same. So the guides are in, we call it the help room. And if the Eagles need to collaborate, they can come there and we'll put them in a breakout room and they'll work together. Or if they need something, honestly, last week I had some Eagles who just wanted to talk to somebody. And so I just talked to them for about, whatever was on their mind. Ours are very overwhelmed. And I don't know if it's just because of the area that we're in, but it's, they're stressed. They're super stressed. So, one kiddo just came to me and held his cat and just talked about nothing in particular for a while. So I think that's been really helpful, just to have that. for them. Although I'm not a psychologist, I feel like I should have maybe went to school for psychology now, because I don't know what to say. So I just let them talk it out. So that's helped. Just having that room open all day for them, so they feel like they have a place where they can go if they need something, and we always have a guide in there. So that's worked for us. What do I want to know? I think I want to know what people are doing for Quest. And I want to know about how people are handling their schedules, and if they feel, I think we had to back way off from what we normally do in the studios. I think we kind of got, especially in Quest, I think we got a lot more done when we were all together. But I think that that's not the point right now for us anyway. We just want to make sure our kiddos are okay. And we took, just people were asking about the financial stuff, we kind of took that off of parents' back. We kind of jumped ahead of everybody and said, hey, look, we are actually in the exact same position as you. We know that there's a lot of entrepreneurs here and a lot of questions about the job. So we took that stress off of their plate and just said, kind of pay what you can, which thankfully we're in a position where we can do that. And for the most part, I think people have paid normally, but I would have to check in on that. So I think just getting ahead of it, I mean, it lets them know that you're kind of you're on their side and you're in the same position as they are, as hard as it will, and we'll figure it out later. So that's all I really have to say.
Thanks, Melissa. On the idea of what Quest is people are planning, I think it's on a lot of people's mind, and especially with limitations of school from home. So I think what we could do is maybe set up a Google Sheet, publish that, and then people could just throw out what are they planning to do, and then people can see maybe from a majority perspective, that looks like a good idea, and maybe some that way that answer can be seen from the Google Sheet itself. I'd be happy to set that up, and I can share that out. Acton, Monterey. By the way, sorry, just to do a time check, it is 11 o'clock. I can go long, and everybody else is welcome to stay. But if you do have to drop, you can definitely drop. And thank you for that. You're on mute still. Sorry.
Well, hi. I'm with Mika, who already spoke and introduced her school district.
Sorry, hard to hear you.
We
Hello?
everything working.
Hello? Sometimes it might be your data connection. You might want to turn off your video. Without video. Turn off
Can
your
you
video.
hear me?
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes. Yes.
Yes or no? Can you hear me?
Good. Yes.
Okay, so I'm with Mirta from, she already introduced her school, Acton Academy, Monterey, and well, I would share that everything I think is working smoothly at home. We have received that feedback from the parents. We have also kept our schedule as similar as possible as the way it was in the studios, with a meeting twice a day. We have a morning lunch and we have a closing circle. The children are working on their SMART goals, and we're working on different mini challenges and mini projects during this last 2 weeks. We are going on a spring break starting on Monday. We are giving the parents some fun challenges and activities so they have at hand for this 2-week break. And we will be ready to start our next quest in these 2 heroes that we have in the onboarding process. And for everything else, I would like to hear ideas about what quests people are doing, what's working for them. I think keeping a regular schedule and an organized structure for the children is very, very important. And the connection and giving them these opportunities to talk and to show their work and to share with others is also something that has been working really well for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Carissa. Or Sherry, actually. Carissa, did you speak yet? No, right?
Good. Hi, I'm Carissa from Threefold School in Pennsylvania. We're in our first year, and as of today, we have 11 heroes. We had our first family drop out this week, which was very painful for me, but I think ultimately very good for our community. We've been at school from home for 3 weeks now, and it has been very, very similar to what we were doing in the studio in terms of schedule. We're trying to give families big blocks of time so they have freedom to choose when they take a walk together as a family or when they eat their lunch or so forth, but they do meet together. We're using Google Meet 3, sometimes 4 times a day. And there's a lot of heroes getting together on Google Meet in between times just to talk or play. And that has been really important to the heroes, just to know that they can still talk to their friends. That's been hard for them. In terms of what we're about to, this is our last day of this session. We're going to break the next week and then start a new session mid-April. And like I said in chat, we're going to do a family garden quest where the elementary heroes are challenged to plant their own family a garden. And this works for us because of the families that we have are prepared with supplies and so forth. Another thing that we decided to do next session was throw out Writer's Workshop for a session and just have 2 afternoons a week where we literally just focus on fun, brain challenges, play games together, just much more low-key, have some reflection time afterwards, but just enable heroes to enjoy each other and have fun, like Andrea was talking about. In terms of our community around here seems very frozen. It's like people are still trying to find a new normal. And I think that once that wears off, if it does, a big question in my mind is, of course, where do we go with recruiting? We have an elementary studio now. We were planning to open a Spark studio in the fall. But does the change in the economic environment make that just not feasible for the fall? I need to decide to invest in guide training and materials pretty soon. So those are some of the questions that are on my mind, is what are you all thinking about your enrollment projections for next fall and how they change based on the environment. I think ultimately this will be good for our school as education becomes more and more disrupted. But what to do in the next 6 months is a question that I'd love to talk about. I don't know if it can be answered now. Tony, thank you for organizing. It's awesome to see all of your faces. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Sherry?
And I are opening East Valley Acton Academy this summer. In Arizona, school starts in the summer, and we revised our calendar with assuming the coronavirus things settle down. We revised our calendar to start earlier, a couple weeks earlier, with the thought that probably most kids are going to be ready to get back in the studio and get back to a little more social. So part of my reason for getting on the call this morning is also for hearing what people are doing to recruit new families, obviously starting from the ground up here. And I've found it helpful to go back to the list that we received from Angela of interested people who have contacted Acton Academy and said, hey, notify us when a school's opening. And I have started going through that list and reaching out to everyone via Facebook or text or email, whatever was provided, and just checking in with them and seeing how they're doing. And I have had a really amazing response from that. So if you did receive a list from Angela, I think that's a great resource to fall back on. And our son is currently attending the Acton Academy of Phoenix. Andrew was on earlier. And I definitely echo that our learners are feeling the stress. A lot of the launches have had to do with COVID, and while it's good to talk about it, sleep has been an issue. So we're ready for something fun.
Yes, definitely. I
Thank
think everybody is. Everybody's ready for this to be over.
We're having an audio connection issue with you.
Whose turn it was? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Tony, we can hear you.
Jeff.
Hey, Tony, if you're talking to me, this is Jeff. We can't hear you.
Yeah, something might not put down with your microphone, Tony.
Hey, Ian, you want to take over facilitating?
Yeah, I was just going to say, anybody, I don't know who hasn't gone, but if someone wants to jump in and introduce themselves and see.
We haven't heard from Jake yet. I don't know who else.
Yeah, Jake, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Jake from Heroes Academy. We moved into a new space 2 days ago, 3 times the size. So that's been fun. Actually, I'm maybe just too busy with other stuff, but we've just been kind of gearing up our new space and kind of having fun. We're just waiting this thing out. I think VJ mentioned it earlier, but we just cut our tuition in half for everybody. And we told them if they wanted to pay full, we'd put the rest into our maker space that we're building out. We had several families do that. But yeah, we're just, I'm just curious. I don't know. I'm just here to support, and we're just kind of waiting it out, and we'll just deal with what comes. So.
Thanks, Jake. You guys hear me now?
Sweet, thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I don't know. Thanks.
I wanted to share, Veronica. I'm from Acton, Honduras. We've been in lockdown for 3 weeks. We are doing great in elementary, middle, not so much in Spark, and in the Montessori, we're really struggling because of activities that the kids could do at home. They cannot connect. They don't have electronics. The parents are working at home, so they don't have the time to be connecting the child with the teacher for a lot of the time. So I would be interesting just to see the ones that have a Montessori studio, like what are you giving them? Spark, it's okay, not so good, but okay. And yeah, I'm hearing about all this quest. We were thinking about doing the economics quest, behavioral economics. We'll probably do that, but we would like to incorporate parts of your quest too, Tony. And we have done like quest maps that have been helpful because the launches are not everybody connects and stuff. We came up with a geography game, which is pretty cool. We'll share with you guys. We do the one-on-one with the parents once a week. We meet 3 times a day, like the open circle, closing circle, and some of them in the middle. And we send like weekly reports to the Eagle so they can share it with their parents. So that's it.
Thanks, Veronica. Heidi, I wasn't sure if you heard me call your name earlier. I think my mic was bad.
Hi, sorry. Had people coming into my room. I jumped on late because I didn't see that this was happening. Veronica, we are doing Sparks. I don't know if this would help with your families if they're working at home, but what our Sparks guide is doing is she's sending out like a simple daily challenge that they can do that's very hands-on, and then the Sparks themselves are also challenging each other with things. And we did send them home with a little packet of like a 100s board and stuff like that that they could do at their house. I don't know if that would help you, Veronica, as far as
Thank you.
yeah, as far as what I feel kind of similar to everybody. We're just kind of in a holding pattern, and I was on here just curious how everybody was approaching the fall with what's going on, and I don't have much to offer in that way. I'm kind of just here to hear from you guys. So
Thank you, Heidi. I don't know if Erica, did you get a chance to speak? Oh, you did, right? You did.
I did.
Okay, thank you. All right, open for anybody else. We could talk about things. I mean, there's happy to keep this open for you guys to discuss anything you want. And Jeff, actually, sorry, Jeff, maybe if there is there anything you want to add in here?
Thanks, Tony, and thanks for setting this up. You've seen most of the news from us. The Eagles made the transition very easily. I think we're already starting to try to think, about the other side of this, like many of you. And on tuition, we're likely to just hold our place, but do anything we can when a family comes to us to keep them, but also try to stay viable. So work something out where, it would be a loan that they can wait quite a while to pay back, but make sure we're pretty high on the list to pay back. I mean, just to make sure that we, aren't offering discounts to people who don't really need them, even though I wouldn't blame them for taking them if we offer them to them. Although I like the simplicity of Jake's method of just cutting across the board too. I think the biggest opportunity for us and for the network is we're going to really go back and look at all of our costs and try to take them to the bone and see how cheaply can we do this, because I think it'll make the whole model better. It probably means simpler quest, even more learner-driven activities. So we're just starting to think about that. Better guide equipping, particularly equipping the learners to tell a guide if they're doing a good job or not. So I think we're really thinking about how to come out of this stronger, and just, it's heartwarming to see how hard everyone's working on this. It's going to be hard. And I think for what it's worth, it's going to last a lot longer than most people think. So my suggestion as someone who pays a lot of attention to the markets is, I would be assuming this is going to last a lot longer than people think, and being grateful that when it comes out earlier. But also, it's an enormous advantage for all of us. We win in this kind of environment, and the other guys lose. Even though you can go back to state-supported schools, in the long run, this will probably be the best thing that's ever happened to us as a network, despite all the the heartbreaking losses and loss of life. I think we're going to come out of it on the other side, but we're going to be ready for that other side to last for a while.
Thanks, Jeff.
Can I add something to what you said, Jeff? I agree with you 100%. I think that this is going to last very long. The other thing we need to work on equipping is parents to be guides, because that's sort of the problem. Like the Eagles have been working beautifully, and then the parents are super stressed out because they're like, I don't know. I see them that they're working, but I don't know if they're advancing. So they keep like testing, is he advancing? Is he, so it's like, yes. So we need better equipped parents to see all the platforms we're using and to give them peace of mind to say, okay, yes, he is advancing. But some parent was telling me, yeah, they say, yeah, I advance such a 3%, or I advance how many topics in con, but I have no idea if that's good or bad. I don't know if I should, just leave them alone or whatever. We're just wanting to keep the parents off their kids as much as we can, but by having all of the family on top of each other, that's a challenge. So that is something we need to work on, I think.
Veronica, I think that's one of the best ideas I've heard in a long time. I'm going to see if I can get Laura to write a blog, a parent blog about asking parents to go to their learners and saying, would you like me to be in guide mode part of the time? In other words, to opt out of parent mode into guide mode, and then give them how to be a guide. So there's times when you're a parent, there's a time when you're a guide, but in this environment, maybe we can come up with something that will have parents literally transition out of their frantic, worried parent mode into guide mode. And that's the same kind of materials we need to equip guides anyway. So I love the idea of trying to, but I think we'll have to get parents not to be guides, but to literally take a different role for 6 hours a day. And then the Eagle can say, well, Mom, you're not in guide mode anymore, you're in mom mode, which is fine, but this is guide mode time. And so that actually might work.
I have a question. With the parent heroic onboarding class coming up through Journey Tracker, is there a way maybe to extend that or allow those challenges to stay up? Because something we had thought about working on, this coming week will be our spring break, but we were thinking how it would be a good quest for families to take that on, so that they're transitioning more for the understanding for a guide role at home.
Yeah, well, it's actually, if it's on your Journey Tracker, you have control of, you can actually launch it or stop it anytime you want.
Okay, so once it's loaded, it will be there if we need to load people on later than this start week.
That's totally up to you how you use it, and it's kind of out of our hands. That you've got it, so you could move it forward 2 weeks. You could spread it out, do lots of things with it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jeff.
So one thing that we did, and I love the idea of a blog from Laura. That would be really amazing. One thing we did right before we closed, because we got 1 day's notice, and so on that Friday, all of the elementary and mid-school Eagles made a plan. They created a shared schedule. They put everything together, and they had a plan by the time they left. They tested out meeting software. And so when we sent an email home to the parents, we were very clear that your Eagles have a plan and it's not your job to homeschool them.
Yeah.
The only thing that's changing is their location. Your role doesn't change. You're not their go-to to ask questions and to figure things out. Their studio is still where they go, and they have the resources to connect with their studio. And so if they come to you and they want you to answer questions for them that are studio related, direct them to their squad leader, direct them to their studio, and keep that connection going. So we pulled that pressure really intentionally off of the parents from the get-go, so that we made a clear differentiation. Your kids are not homeschooling now. They're just doing Acton at home.
And Shannon, I can't stress enough how important I think it is that we as a network stay way away from the word homeschooling. And this isn't a comment on, the right kind of homeschool co-op is an Acton, right? It's not a homeschool co-op. But using that word, to me, frees up lots of parents to turn into teachers if we're not careful, and blurs our brand with everybody else's. And so that's why I've been so adamant about really trying to do exactly what you're saying and be very clear with parents and the world. It's not technology, it's equipping the learners to kind of basically fend for themselves or build a community. I think as much as we can as the network, we really try to stay away from the technology works great, And, this is kind of like homeschooling, and we actually flip it the other way, because I think it's going to help us on the other side. Again, it's not a knock on homeschooling hybrids that we have at Acton. We love those. They're really not. I mean, the word homeschooling is misused today, right? It's really a co-op of learners and community. And I think we just got to stay away from that word, or we're going to get swept into a lot of areas we don't want to get swept into.
Do you think, could I speak to this as a homeschool hybrid?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so we have always equipped our parents in that way, Shannon. We've never asked them to be guides. We've sent them, I shared it on the forum the other day, like we equip them with some questions. If their Eagles come to them and ask them something, they kind of have a similar list of questions that we as guides might have as we're learning, but we're always asking them to direct it back to the learner, back to their studio. And our Eagles have been at home 2 days a week all the time. And we've never, ever said, oh, well, now you're homeschooling when you're at home. No, you're doing Acton at home.
Yeah.
You're still learner driven. And if we haven't really had any issues with parents wanting to teach because they're coming to us because we're doing it differently. And I really have to agree with the conversation that's going on where everybody's homeschooling now, and like I don't think that that's a really great term to be using for what we do.
I like the term even Acton at home. I mean, that's great, but it's different. And I'm not worried, Heidi, of course, about your parents or I'm worried about some of our parents actually, but I'm not worried about the people doing it right, what they call it. It's that it releases maybe Actons who aren't as deep into this, or new people outside, to believe, all you have to do is homeschool with this platform. I mean, I can't tell you how many hundreds of requests. I got 2 while we've been on this call from people just give us your journey tracker and all your stuff so we can help, thousands of people do this at home. And it's like, no, that's not what we do. So I love the way this conversation's going.
Yeah, it really doesn't work. Like, it took a while to equip the Eagles, but it's harder if you're trying to get parents in that don't believe in the system. And if you get parents that believe in the system and Eagles that are equipped, you don't need to homeschool. Like, our parents don't homeschool. Yeah. The learners just do the work at home.
Yeah, it's funny when we were coming up with, like, we were sitting together with the guys, and we had a meeting with our guys and talking about, what is this? And we're setting this all up, and they're like, well, normally, as adults, we work from home. And then we're like, well, I guess these kids are going to school from home. And that's why we kind of coined that. And we've been using that we put up a page in our main page that says school from home. We're trying to incorporate that because we want to capture that in case somebody does look up our webpage and say, hey, who are you guys? Oh, wait, you guys actually can leverage this new environment that we're in.
Yeah, I think it's important to emphasize, we keep repeating to our families that this is what the Eagles have trained for. And the reason that they're shifting over so well is not because we do everything online and not because of the platforms, but because of what they've been doing in the studio. And so that uniquely equips them. And when I'm talking to new families, and I've talked to a lot of families I haven't interviewed, haven't auditioned, who are wanting to come in. And what I'm having to tell them is, our Eagles are doing great, but they're not doing great because they have all of these online tools. Those help. They're doing great because of what they've been training to do. And you can't just plug somebody into that system and expect them to do as well as our Eagles are doing, because now they have Journey Tracker and now they have Khan Academy. It's the secret sauce is something entirely different.
My sense, and I'll be quiet after this, my sense is while we should be getting things out there like more copies of Courage to Grow and some terrific videos, I think we're probably wasting our breath collectively with anyone who's not already in the channels or in the funnel somewhere, because everyone's so distracted. There is going to come a time where everyone sees the sunrise again and gets excited. And that's when I think our message should be, hey, if you want your child to be able to compete in this new world that's going to be difficult and complex and changing, not in the past, what happened in the last 6 months, but forward, it's going to be hard. This is what you need, and this is going to equip them. I think that's going to sell terrifically. There'll be economic challenges, which is why we need to get the cost down. But I think once people see that this is over and they can see the other side, we're going to have a great chance to come out, and we will come out strong from the network with a great sales campaign to help attract parents and new owners.
Yeah, I think if I can echo that too, and Shannon, to what you were saying also, I've already had people contact us for that reason, for the excitement of the problem solving piece and for the critical thinking piece and thinking outside of the box. That's been really exciting people and really getting them to ask a lot of questions right now, because I think we're all being hit with that reality of there isn't a black and white answer. Like, we all are literally having to think on our feet every day and expect constant changes. And the message, at least that we've been saying, is we're built for this. Like, we're here for this. This is what inspires us. And this is what, this is what makes us work hard. This is what we love, being able to look for problems that we didn't even know were out there yet. So that's been a big part of our conversation. I know with some families that are kind of already seeing a little bit ignite with them.
Yeah, we're seeing some of the same things as a new school. The parents I was already talking to, some of the things they've mentioned, what Jeff just said, I think has rung true for us, is that if they're already in the pipeline a little bit, then they're thinking about this different. If they're not in the pipeline, it's crickets, is what I'm finding. But I'm getting families who are saying, like, even one family, they were kind of on the fence. They're still questioning the Red Courage to Grow and were like super fired up. And then I think they started questioning their own themselves. But they've started saying, wait a second, like, this has really shown me how inefficient traditional schools are, some of the real glaring issues above and beyond what they were already seeing. But it's almost reinforcing for them that there's something better. The unknown for us is we're launching in the fall, and will we have be launching as a virtual school and the challenges that would come with that if we decided to move forward, which we probably would question, because building community and things like that are more important. But nonetheless, still seeing from those already in the pipeline, definitely still showing interest, and in some ways have fired them up even more. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting question about if we're stuck particularly in stay at home or quarantine for the next several months, which who knows, how do we shift and figure out how to audition Eagles virtually, and what does that look like? I think that might actually be easier in mid-school than it is in elementary for some reason. But I mean, we may have to think about what does that look like, because it's not ideal in my mind. But
well, in some ways it's the question of, does it go back to, like, in our case, our audition process is so different because we don't have a space, we don't have a school for them to come into. So it's almost taking a step back and saying, okay, what did we do when we were in that position? Now, obviously the world's different and you can't even meet with them face to face. So that creates some real challenges, but
I'm going to make a suggestion for, elementary and above. So I think Spark's different, is that we're not going to do, I'm going to pledge we're not going to do what we always do, which is Laura and I talk about it a lot. And then we ask the Eagles and they already have the answer. So for those of us that already have learners, I would say go to them and get a committee of them to decide how they would suggest creating the audition process from online. And I bet we end up with 4 or 5 funnels from them and videos and things that'll be more powerful than what we could ever create. And then Ian, you don't have that luxury because you don't have them, but Jake has learners. And so I bet they'll come up with a better idea than we would have.
that's actually true, because Jeff, you weren't here yet, but and we'll see how this experiment goes, but we had 8 Eagles that we had accepted for next year. So they'd spent a week in our studio, they'd gone through the whole process, who are joining us virtually for the next couple of sessions. And we asked the Eagles to create a training and mentoring program for them, to introduce them to the studio and to get them oriented and to keep in touch with them and mentor them. And that's raised the energy and excitement in our studio quite a bit, because they have kind of this new purpose, and they're reaching out to these, kids they've met before, but that they're now getting to introduce to what we're doing now. And they've already been discussing ways that they need to make sure that they're talking to them about how this is going to be different once we're back in the studio. And here's why we're doing it this way now, but when we're back in the studio, it's this way. So that creativity, you're right, Jeff. And for some reason, it didn't ping to me to ask them about that.
One last comment, then I'm going to have to hop off. We've got a number of things kind of one a week headed towards the network that we're trying to help with. One of them that I may actually do next week is we're going to offer a contest with something like a $500 first prize and $250 second, and then maybe a $100 third prize that has to be spent by the learner in the studio when they come back. But for who can make a video as good as the Choice Academy video. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but it's a terrific video about, taking the book and having their parents read it. And we're going to give Choice a first prize just for coming up with that video to begin with, but there'll be another first prize. But hopefully that would be something that'll ignite some of the elementary and middle school learners to try to do their own videos of how they came to Acton Academy and how they would explain that, mimicking the Choice video. So we're actually going to go out and try to see if we can get some, both for energy within your studios, but also for when we come out of this, a whole bunch of great videos of the Eagles talking, or the learners talking themselves. I hate to do this, guys. I got to hop off, but Tony, again, thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you, guys. With that, I'm just going to end this session. I think we'll just have another session next week or something. We can chat over the email and see. I think there's some great ideas that I haven't been able to read all the chats, but I think there's some great ideas that have gone through the chat. Sorry, Shannon, yours.
Oh, just real quick. Tony and I talked about this in the private messenger, but there's a lot of owners and a lot of guides and a lot of different things that people are concerned about. And so I think we found kind of in a really large group format, it's hard to address some of those specific issues well, because we're more expressing and then coming up with a few ideas. But I'll be sending out a survey that kind of gets a feel for what the main things are that people want to talk about. I've got kind of a list here. And then get some volunteers to host smaller Zoom sessions so that people who, you want to get together and talk and brainstorm and prototype specifically about recruiting or specifically about quest ideas, and then we can break out into Sparks and mid-school and elementary so that we can get a little bit more focused work done on some of those things. So keep an eye out for that too.
Cool. Thanks, Shannon. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend and stay safe and healthy.
Talk soon. Thank
Bye.
you, Tony.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Awesome.
Thank you all.